We are in week 7 of Destiny 2 Warmind. I've been a little preoccupied with Anthem here recently, so this is coming out a little late, but better late than never, right? So let's get right into it, guys. It's Tuesday, June 19th, and this is your Destiny 2 Warmind Weekly Reset Guide. What's going on, Guardians? Sly here, back at you with your D2 Weekly Turnover. The raids have reset, milestones are back, and all the goodness has returned. So let's pop in and see what's new for this week in Destiny 2. Alright, so as you can see, Iron Banner has returned for this week. We'll get to that here in a second. But first, let's take a look at everything up in the Director, including our milestones. So as we can see, Nightfall, Iron Banner is back, Call to Arms, Clan XP, the Leviathan. Our flashpoint this week is Mars. And then, of course, at the end here, we have Heroic Strikes. Complete 3 of those to get yourself a powerful reward. Alright, so first up, let's start off with taking a look at the Crucible, and by no surprise, it's going to show that it's Iron Banner, but I just wanted to show it off anyway, and like I said, we'll get to that here in a second. Alright, so starting off with the Vanguard playlist, let's take a look at the Heroic Strike modifiers. We, of course, have our Singe, and then one negative and one positive. So our Singe for this week is going to be Solar Singe. Solar damage increases slightly from all sources. After that, we have Grounded, damage taken while you are airborne is greatly increased, and then Brawler, melee abilities deal more damage and recharge much faster. Again, these two change out daily, while the other one is a weekly modifier, so just to let you guys know that. And moving on to our Nightfall this week, it's going to be Tree of Probabilities. Didn't we just have this as a Nightfall like recently? Huh. Anyway, so Tree of Probabilities, not excited for that once again, but whatever. Our normal release is pretty easy. Okay, so next up, guys, let's take a look at the raid. I'll pop in and see what the challenge is for this week, as well as the starting encounter. So, welcome to the Leviathan, my friends. For our first encounter, as you see at the top left, we have the Royal Pools. As for the challenge this week, it's the Pleasure Gardens, the puppies. So, get ready for some of that. But alright, guys, next up, we're done with everything up here in orbit, so we're going to head on to the tower and take a look at everything that changes over there. Alright, Guardians, welcome to the tower. Now, first, before we started, I want to address something. Last week, I saw a comment asking why I didn't stop by Shaxx or Zavala during my weekly reset guide, and they seem pretty mad about it, but I kind of don't understand why, because if you look at Shaxx or Zavala, at least in the season, they don't sell anything that changes week after week. It's the exact same amount of rewards and the exact same thing every single week. Now, other vendors, they sell weapons, but they change every 15 to 25 minutes. So there's really no reason to stop by here and take a look, because it's the exact same every week. And Shaxx is the exact same way. It has the exact same rewards. As we can go over there and we'll take a look. As every week, they don't change. It's the same thing. So if you're one of those Guardians who wonder why I don't stop by Shaxx or Zavala, that's why. There's nothing that changes, nothing to take a look at that really differentiates week by week. So that's why I don't stop by them. So with that said, our first stop, let's go ahead and edit out and get down to the very side of the tower. We'll take a look at the raid robot and see what he has for us this week. Alright, so Benedict 9940. First up, let's take a look. Looks like the new helmet. Yep, we have the Ensign Shade cover, which is for the Spire of Stars. After that, Rapus Secrets, which is the Eater of Worlds gauntlets. Then we have the, what is this, Prestige? Yep, Prestige chest piece. And then that is also the Prestige boots. Then we have the regular class item. And then one of the better weapons of the Leviathan raid, the Inaugural Address. Now, if you guys haven't tried the Inaugural Address, ever since the pulse rifle buff, you are missing out, guys, because it is actually a really, really good weapon. So if you don't have this weapon, or if you deleted it a long time ago, come buy it and try it out again. You will be pleasantly surprised. So also, he's selling the helmet for the new raid. So if you don't have that yet, this is a good time to get it. And I personally think that's the only thing worth getting in that raid. Like, the sidearm is, of course, beast. The emote where you pop on the chair, also pretty sweet. But the helmet is one of the better looking, armor pieces for the raid. So pop in and grab that. Of course, you have to beat the raid this week to do it, and since we all should know the encounter by now, it is definitely a lot easier. And also, for those who've just watched my my raid guide, that guide is meant for beginners, right? That raid. I always make my first raid guides, when you go in there, so that you don't know the encounter, you don't know what the area looks like, you've never seen it before, you don't know any kind of strategies. my raid guides are built for beginners who have never done the raid. It's not like a pro strategy or anything like that. I'll have that strategy out before the prestige raid comes out, but just so you're wondering why it's a little bit different than everyone else's, that's the reason why, because those are meant for beginners who've never even seen the encounter. So it's explaining something new for the the first time. So just in case you're wondering why it's a little different than everybody else's, that's the reason why. Alright, so next up, let's take a look at Banshee, see what he has to offer, see if he's got any kinetic mods, and he does not, unfortunately. So, what a shame. Okay, next up, of course, is going to be Eververse. So let's hop in and see what the prismatic matrix has to offer, and also what we can buy with some of that dust. What's up, Ellen? Alright, so first up, taking a look at the prismatic matrix. What do we have? Ooh, I see some sleeper goodness. Alright, so first up, let's take a look at the ghost. We have the Skyline Flipside shell, which is actually one of my favorite ghost shells. Little disco ball looking thing. Of course, the perk at the end here is going to be different for everybody because it's random, but I got the one where it was actually your speeder comes out faster. So it's an awesome, shell to have. Hopefully you'll get the same one, but you never know. Alright, next up, let's take a look at some sleeper goodness called Hypnopompic? Yeah, Hypnopompic. What a weird name. Anyway, it doesn't look that bad, guys. I like the red outline. It still has the alligator clip there chilling out and the little blinky light. So it's not a bad ornament, and it actually kind of changes your sight like a different kind of red. So it's pretty cool. Alright, after that, we have, what is this, Titan? No, we have Hunter arms, then we have Titan boots, and then Warlock boots for the Eververse armor set. After that, one of my favorite ghost shells called the Riveted Majesty shell. It kind of has like this steampunk kind of vibe to it. I'll show you guys. I had it out during the Leviathan, but it's one of my favorites. It looks really, really cool. I've always liked this one. I got it actually the first day this season came out, so I've had it for a while now, and I absolutely love it. Alright, after that, we have just a regular legendary ship called the Dust Carrier. Then we have the Collaborative Dance, which is definitely not one of my favorites. And then moving on here to the Sparrows, we have the Fiery Phoenician, and the last one here, Mad Son of Seychelles, which is actually a really cool looking Sparrow. It's got a cool little stream out the back as well. Definitely one of the better legendary versions out there. Okay, next up, let's take a look at what we can buy with our Bright Dust, starting off with emotes, the Freaky Dance, which really isn't all that freaky, and then moving on to one of the blues, Dust Off. Now, actually, some of these blues are better than legendaries, man. They're not like, perpetual. They don't just keep, repeating themselves over and over, but still cool nonetheless. Okay, so getting on to the ship, Sparrows and Ghost Shells. First up, Fly Chaplain, another speeder. Looks like all the other ones we've seen in game, not that big of a deal. Next up, the two ships, Shadow Dawn, another Delta Wing, also nothing that we haven't seen before. And then getting on to one of the newer ships called Dragon Queen. Now, I really don't know where this style came from, right? It just kind of appeared. I was hoping maybe like an enemy would use it. If they did, I really haven't caught it, but nonetheless, it is definitely one of the weirder looking ships in Destiny. Okay, so for our last Ghost Shell, we have the Orca Song Shell, and we've seen this thing countless times throughout the last couple weeks, so no big deal about that. Finally, here we have the Mihilova's Tail, at least for the Warlock, and it is the bond for the, the set for Eververse. Alright guys, next up, let's take a look at the two ornaments. First up, one of my favorite ones called the Cork Star for Sunshot. Now, just a word of advice, or a word of caution, I guess you could say. This ornament is like one of the best looking ones that they've come out with, right? But it also throws off your aim a little bit. It changes the sight just a little. So when you shoot it, it's something to get used to. It kind of throws off your aim a little bit, but you do get used to it really, really quickly. It's nothing crazy. However, if you're like a Sunshot main in the Crucible or something like that, especially if you're on PC, it does take a little bit getting used to, but they did a damn good job on that ornament. Alright guys, next up we have one for the Darcy called Mind of Its Own, and it just kind of changes it to like a bleached out kind of white version. It's not bad, but it's nothing really all that special. Okay, so moving on to the respawn animations, we have Void Effects and then the Amethyst Rabbit. Moving on to the shaders, we have Omelon Meteor Gloss, Suros Modular Shine, Golden Trace, and then Indigo Matrix. Moving on to the boons here, we of course have the Vanguard, Crucible, and then the best thing in the game here, the Fire Team Medallions, which actually I need to buy some of real quick, so let's just do that. I'll just grab a handful. Beautiful. Alright Guardians, so next up, let's go take a look at Iron Banner, and then this will round out our weekly reset guide. So pop up here. Meow. Good job. Okay, so let's go see what Sir Banana has for us. What's up, Saladin? Okay, so I'm not going to really get into all of the ornaments because we've seen those last time. So let's go ahead and take a look at the weapons. First up, we have the Ally Demand, which is the sidearm. It's a 300 round per minute sidearm. Looks pretty sweet, and it has a cool sound because, of course, it's silenced. Alright, moving on to the sights and then the perks. Starting off with a short spec SAS, little more range, little less stability, and a little less handling. This one at the bottom, even more so. Moving on to the perks, we have ricochet rounds and then extended mag, which bumps it up a couple. Not really sure what it is because I don't have the weapon yet, but I can't be more than like 17 or 18. But as you can see, it drastically takes away your reload speed, which with a sidearm is kind of a big deal. So make sure you think about that. And then at the end here, we have auto-loading holster. Of course, this is kind of like Cocoon from D1. You put it away, you bring it back, and then boom, there you have it. So that does take away, the problem with reload. But if you're in the middle of shooting, it doesn't really help you all that much. Okay, next up, one of my favorite weapons in this Iron Banner season is Occluded Finality. I love this sniper rifle. Even though it's a slow shooter, the impact, the freaking magazine, I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. So starting off with the sights, we have this SSO7 sniper, which increases the range. Then over here, we give you a little more handling, a little less range, but it is a lightweight scope, which of course gives you less zoom, gives you better target acquisition, at least in my opinion. Alright, after that we have tactical mag and then armor piercing rounds, but remember, if you choose armor piercing rounds, it will drop your mag down to 3, also take away a little bit of stability and your reload speed. And finally at the end here, field prep increases ammo reserves, faster reload when crouched, but I don't think anybody ever really uses that. Alright, moving on to the sniper rifle, the Multimach CCX. It is a 900 round per minute sniper, or a submachine gun. Multimach CCX submachine gun. My bad, guys. It's like super early in the morning. Anyway, 900 rounds per minute. Let's take a look at the sights here. We have the IS-2 Classic, the Iron Sight 2 Classic, and then the Model 8 Red. Little extra range, little less handling. After that, for perks, we have accurized rounds or alloy magazine, and then dynamic sway reduction. Okay, so next up, moving on to the last 3 weapons, starting up, if I could ever select it, the Finite Impactor, which is the hand cannon. It's 140 rounds per minute, so it is a slower firing one than the rest. We have the fast draw hand cannon sight, and then the sure shot hand cannon sight. This one gives you less stability, less handling, but more range. So that's a big deal with hand cannons as always. Alright, so we have appended magazine or drop mag. Now drop mag is awesome for the Crucible because every time you die, you respawn, with more ammo. So this is something you should definitely be using because it helps you out tremendously. Unless you miss your shots a lot, then maybe you should not think about it. But anyway, after that, snapshot sight, also a really good Crucible perk. Alright guys, so moving on to the next 2, we have the Shining Sphere rocket launcher. This one is a 20 round per minute, so again, another slow firing one, but it's got great reload speed. For our barrels, we have quick launch, linear compensator, and hard launch. After that is alloy casing, high velocity rounds, and quick draw. And finally, for the last weapon here, we have the Dark Decider. Now, this one is a 720 round per minute, which is kind of unique. Not a lot of weapons have 720 rounds per minute, at least for auto rifles. Just the ones like these Vice ones. Those are pretty much their specialty, I guess you could say. Alright, so starting off with the barrel here, we have corkscrew rifling, polygonal rifling, and then fluted barrel. For the perks, we have extended mag or high caliber rounds, which is kind of a big deal for auto rifles. And then we have auto loading holster, again, another awesome perk. Finally, let's take a look at the ship, the Aspera Triumph, and it's the jet, so also not that big of a deal. But that is really about it, guys. That's all we have to take a look at this week, so hope you enjoyed it, and as always, thank you for watching another Sly Nation Destiny video. Feel free to check me out on Twitter or Facebook, Sly Nation Gaming. Subscribe for more Destiny 2 Forsaken, Anthem, and Division 2 videos. Spank the thumbs up only if you enjoyed yourself, and keep an eye out for more videos coming out of Sly Nation in the very near future. But until then, guys, thank you for watching, and until next time, this is your dude Sly, and I'll check you all later.